Good morning. Open the Municipal Airport Authority Board meeting for this morning, September 24th. Need to start with item number 1, approve the minutes as published. Anybody have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, will be approved as published. Approve airport vouchers totaling $106,049.24. Entertain a motion. Have a motion, second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call, I'm sorry. We gotta do roll call.
Lynn?
Yeah.
Hagan?
Yes.
Lynn?
Aye.
Alden?
Aye. And then vouchers A through E. Item number 3. Entertain a motion for all of those as a group.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve and second, and that's A through E on those. And again, need a roll call.
Lynn?
Aye.
Hagan? Lynn?
Yes.
Alden?
Aye. All right. Item number 4, received report regarding scheduled seats available.
Okay, so what you received in your packet was kind of a snapshot in time from Mark Sixel, our air service consultant, and what I want to bring your attention to is how busy it's going to be, especially November through that April timeframe. We'll have a record number of seats available in the market, and the snapshot that you got already is out of date because last Thursday, Frontier loaded their Denver flights. They extended Denver through January, where initially when they announced Phoenix Sky Harbor, they were going to end Denver service, suspend that until spring, and then just fly Sky Harbor. They decided to extend Denver through the first part of January. So that'll add an additional about 2,400 seats in November, about 2,600 in December, and another 370 in January. But so we'll have record numbers of seats. So parking will be at a premium. We've been advising SP Plus, the restaurant, all the concession folks to be ready. It'll be extremely busy. So, and if we run 80% load factors, I mean we'll have record boarding months for it. And I expect that we'll have higher loading factors than that. So all the more reason to look at a terminal expansion. And we're going to have that meeting next week, I believe. We're going to start looking at terminal expansion options next week. This Thursday? Yeah. Well, this week. So, any questions on that?
Is SP Plus going to offer the ban again?
They are this year. This is the final year.
This is
their
the final
first
year?
2-year
Okay,
commitment
good.
at their cost.
Thank you.
And, response was so they didn't carry a lot of people, but they will have that in place.
But with the increase in, with the increase in seats, I think it's going to be really important that we keep that. Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, it's especially with now Frontier and American offering nonstop to Phoenix. That could impact more departure. All right. Anything else on that, John?
No.
All right. Received a special assessment notice from the city.
So we had a pre-notice some months ago before Improvement District BN 18G was done, storm sewer, Portland cement concrete, paving and incidentals. This is for the 33rd Street North, 40th Avenue. So if we look at the bigger map up here, this was an improvement by the city for 33rd Street right in this location here, plus improvements, 33rd Street's over here. Improvements to that, and then plus the intersection right here because of the Air National Guard going in. So they put in a turn lane, an approach, connected into utilities on the airport side. So it was improvements made for our tenant. Now the National Guard received a separate special assessment notice that the bill will be due, or you can start paying it in October. So we will pay the full amount when it's due, so we don't have to pay any interest. But that's the metes and bounds of the project. So I think that we can pay it without interest starting in October 22nd. Normally we'll just email them and they'll transfer the funds to do that. Any questions on that?
Yeah. Tell me how that benefits the airport again.
Well, it was the improvements for 40th Avenue plus the drainage
Right
throughout
through
the
there.
area.
Okay.
Right through this whole area here. So a lot of the improvements were done here in the intersection to benefit
Right.
access to that. And of course, all this property around here can be developed as well.
Okay.
Questions?
All right, passenger survey, SP Plus, next item.
Okay, so you got a copy of the survey results from SP Plus. They took July 10th and 11th, and I think you had a summary of it maybe before our last meeting. They had really good responses. They interviewed a total of 1,504 passengers, so they got about 50% of the passengers that had flown on those 2 days. They're here like at 3:30 every morning and run through the last departure and catch people as they go up the escalator. And the results that you can see on page 4, number of cars parked this year versus in July of 2018, and just the comparisons. Uber and Lyft held pretty steady at 6%. That really hasn't changed much year over year. Hotel shuttles went down like 1%. Rental cars were up 6%, July versus July. But I guess it's just good data that they're still maintaining. I don't know if you have any questions on it, if you've reviewed it or anything, but
That's good.
and if anybody wants a copy of this, we'll probably post it on the website. Do we do that? Or we can get copies if anybody wants copies of the surveys that they have. And they have the summaries from all of the other surveys that they've done. And they found this to be pretty successful, so they're doing this not only in Sioux Falls but other airports. They've
Good.
decided that it's good data for them to have, and
Good.
it's worked out well. So
What was the drop-off rate?
Still about 30%.
There was still about 30? Because it goes up.
I thought it was
43% of the folks
Because
who
then I
dropped
think in the
off.
winter it goes up to like 58, 60%.
Yeah, more.
Okay.
Right. So, just so you receive and file that.
I was surprised car rentals had gone up so much as
Yeah.
well. So.
That's great
Yeah,
for them.
keeps our tenants in. Happy. Number 7, receive lease extension from Patcher.
Is it done? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
it's
anyway.
done.
This is a company, this is a company that has an antenna array over at the East Terminal Building, and they pay us so much a month, I guess. So that lease was expired, so they have a 5-year extension with a 3% escalator, so that's
Okay.
all ready to be signed. So, I don't know what does it do, Darren? It's Passeur, do you remember what they do? Some kind of an antenna array.
Oh, it's not ready to be signed because I sent questions about some
Yeah.
of the provisions that were removed. That was before I knew it was just an antenna.
You can prove it's subject to Stacy getting it all straightened out with them.
And along as we're on Municipal Terminal, number 8 is a request from Metal Art
Yeah,
Logistics.
they've been on the first floor next to UPS for some time now, so their lease is up at the end of the month, and he's requested a 2-year extension. The lease and extension is here, 3% escalator, and he has requested, I guess, first dibs on the UPS space when UPS moves out someday.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we'll see where that goes. And he does qualify for it. He's an aeronautical service provider, so
Right.
with cargo.
Um,
So if you just approve that,
Do we need to approve this?
yes.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 9 is receive an update on flooring replacement.
So if you've been down in the restaurant, the pre-security side of the restaurant, that carpet was, it's old, it's shot. Plus, the entryway into the kitchen area, just on the east side of the carpeted area. So I engaged Terry Northern from CBM to come up and take a look at it. And what we've agreed to do is to split the cost of the replacement of the flooring. And Fargo Linoleum came out and worked with actually Joan and the management down here, and they kind of picked out some tile. It won't be carpet anymore, it'll be a type of a tile, some decorative stuff in it, and they'll replace all of that along with the hallway that goes down to the elevator that's along the south edge of the overhang that's here. So it's $12,134.37. There's some freight, another about $258. And we'll be splitting the cost of that with CBM. I'm not exactly sure when they're going to start, but it'll be sometime next month, I'm guessing. Be an improvement. They didn't want carpet back there. Well, they kind of did, but then we talked them out of it with the local management here. It's easier to maintain the tile.
Make it kind of an egg-colored carpet.
Yeah, right. So it'll be a neat pattern. So just that's more for your information than anything.
Right, okay. Response from PEO.
Okay, so we advertised for professional employment organization services, and those bids were due here a few days ago, and we had one response. That was from Pro Resources, and Chris Burns is here from Pro Resources if you have any questions. Just a matter of receiving it. If you went through in the proposal, I think everybody received their proposal there. There's all kinds of different things that they do, and Chris and her team have presented to us here in the past as far as what they can provide to small businesses. And you know, the bottom line cost, I mean, you go through all of this here, I think on the one page is, and the titling of this is different. They talk about a payroll factor for aircraft ground crew. They talk about a payroll factor for fire department. And what they do is they take the North Dakota Workforce Safety classification of what the employees are. So the fire department, that's obvious. They're at a 12.84% cost plus state unemployment tax. And aircraft ground crew, which is everybody in the office, our building attendants and our equipment operators, at 11.97% plus state unemployment tax. So when you break that down, we're currently paying all of that now, depending, it doesn't matter if you have a city vendor or other vendors doing it, all but 2.69%. 2.69% basically is the fee based on gross payroll that they have to provide all of the services that they have in the packet of their response. And you know, if anybody wants a copy, you're more than happy to get that. So when we look at the 2020 budget, and I think as I explained before, in 2020, if we spend every penny that's in the 2020 budget, their fee would be $56,465.49 if we spend every penny in the budget. Well, I've got a couple of positions in the operations and maintenance budget that we may or may not fill. We've already covered ourselves with another equipment operator. We did replace an equipment operator, we did add an equipment operator here a few months ago. We've got another employee in the budget for building maintenance as well. So we may not fill those positions, so then the cost would be even lower. Overtime is in there. We may not spend all of the overtime that we've budgeted for the fire department or for our staff here for that. So if we break it down even further, that $56,000 number, $18,910.70 is for aircraft rescue and firefighting, of which 100% of that is billed out to the carriers. So FedEx, UPS, American, United, Delta all get that as part of their monthly landed weight calculation to reimburse us for aircraft rescue and firefighting. So for the non-fire department, it's just a little over $37,500. And like I say, that's the total budget. That's everything. So my estimate is that it will be significantly less than that if you should decide at some point here in the next month or so to move forward with a professional employment organization as we work with the city on options. So I don't know if Chris, have anything to add? If you got any questions for Chris, you can do that. I did find out that the state unemployment tax, we are not paying that because of the relationship with the city. What they've done is they've have an agreement with job service, so we pay actual costs. So if there's an unemployment situation, I think we've had a couple in the past few years, but we would pay what the actual cost is versus paying an unemployment tax directly to the state every month.
And so this would change?
Possibly, but
Okay.
I don't know. That's something to be determined if we can
Okay.
maintain the same relationship. Since we're a political subdivision, government entity, I believe that same relationship with job service can maintain. So there wouldn't be a state unemployment tax fee. It would just be whatever the actual cost would be for in that situation going forward. So
Again, we only received one.
Only one.
Response, so.
Okay.
one response was all that was received.
So bottom line, $56,000, $18,000 gets billed back to the carriers for the firefighters, and $37,500 for everybody else.
That's the all in on the 2020 budget, which hopefully will be
Okay.
significantly less than that.
Okay.
So unless you have any other questions, you can receive this and go forward. I don't know if anybody's got any other questions. We did, I think we did go out and get some, from Dave Middow and Associates, some health insurance stuff that we've seen. Obviously, we know that health insurance was gonna be a little bit more expensive. And they went through different plans, and I know Dave at some point in the future can come and address us if we decide to go down this road here, but he was able to get quotes from Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Platinum Plan, Medica Gold, and the Sanford Platinum, and what the different costs are right now. So currently, for all employees that are taking health insurance, not all do, some have health insurance through their wife, our monthly cost is $11,970.80. That's what we pay per month. That's both the employee and the employer share.
11,000 what?
$11,970.80. That's the employer and employee share. So I forget the exact percentage that the employee is picking up on that. So Dave kind of suggested the Blue Cross Blue Shield Platinum plan that is proposed is actually a better plan than what we currently have, but it obviously is more expensive because we are an organization that would be under 50 employees.
Mhm.
So we're a small business. So that cost is $21,202.33 based on the number of employees that would be insured, including family members. So it's significantly more. So the annual cost, if you want to just do that in comparison, if we just look at the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, I don't know if they emailed, but I can get that out to you. Right now, our annual cost, both employer and employee, is $143,649.60. That's both employer and employee. And the Blue Cross Blue Shield North Dakota Platinum plan is $254,427.96. That both be employer and employee cost. So if you break that down further, $74,000 and change is fire department, and $180,000 and change is the non-fire department employees. So the added additional cost, if Blue Cross Blue Shield is about $110,778 more than what we're paying today. The Medica Gold is about $105,724 additional, and Sanford is $135,414.60 more than what we're paying today, both employee and employer share.
And the platinum plan you said is a little bit better than what they have right now?
That's Mr. Midow's opinion.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just his opinion.
Okay.
That he believes that it's he thinks both the Blue Cross Blue Shield North Dakota Blue Care plan and the Sanford Simplicity plan have stronger benefits than the current plan that our employees have.
Okay.
And he's in the health insurance business.
Okay.
I couldn't read a policy and tell you one way or the other, but so that's just kind of some background information. I've got more breakdowns for you if you go from there. And once again, all of the salary and benefits for the fire department are picked up by the carriers. Not that we want to increase their costs, but nonetheless, it's part of the cost of doing business.
So the salary and benefits of the fire department of $74,000 will come off the 110?
No,
That's in addition.
That would 110. Yes. 74, 120, 76. Yeah, but the net. This gets real confusing in the numbers.
Okay.
The net increase from today that the Blue Cross Blue Shield plan for fire department would be $28,784.76. That's in addition to what we're paying today.
Today, okay.
For employee and employer.
Okay.
For the non-fire department employees, the additional annual cost for employer and employee is $81,993.60.
Okay, 81,000 additional then.
Right,
Okay.
81,000 additional.
900 and, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's no science whatsoever to any of the health insurance plans when you're under the ACA Affordable
Mhm.
Care Act, what do they call it, metallic plan or whatever,
Mhm.
less than 50. It's the age of the employee, and here's the amount. There's no,
Okay.
doesn't matter what your health is. It's just based on your age. So, and they range all over the place. Right now, a single plan right now is $448.70. That's the employee and employer share, the current Blue Cross Blue Shield plan that they're under right now. $448.70 a month.
Mhm.
Family is $1,085.80 per month in the current plan. You know, and for some employees, there's a handful of employees that it might even be less. The premium might be less just based on their age. Not much difference.
John, this did not include any health savings plan.
No, that's the other part of it is if we decide to go down this road to health savings accounts, as employees, I think, get educated on a health savings account, that significantly lowers the cost for both the employee and the employer. You know, if anybody, our employees have done any research on the health savings account, I've had one since they've offered it at Sanford, and
I have one too from
it's the only way to do it.
Yep.
Doing these plans here is a joke.
Yeah.
Doing the health savings account's the only way to do it. But at any rate,
Any
that's information. No,
further word on the discussion amongst airports getting together to form an employee?
Yeah,
group?
Jordan is actually the secretary for the Airport Association, so I don't know, Jordan, if was it on your to-do list to talk about a health association plan for the Airport Association?
It's still kind of being talked about. We haven't had a definitive answer of what we're going to be doing yet, but
Yeah.
it's still in talks.
Yeah, Dave Middow has agreed to work with them. There's another company in Sioux Falls that's agreed to work with them. I think it's called Hahn and Associates, to educate them on how to form an association plan for the Airport Association. And that could impact rates as well at some point in the future. Now, the other part is health. Health insurance is what we have here is the dental and the vision. Those are things that we haven't solicited, but everything that we've seen from Pro Resources is they have lower cost and better plans than what we have available right now. There's cancer insurance, which I don't believe is currently offered. There's a whole list of things that they have in their proposal, but Chris, I don't know if that's a fair assessment, but from what we've seen on the vision and dental that they have access to or go out in the market for is lower cost and better coverage. So that's our experience. So any questions from there?
No questions.
Okay.
And there, I've got all of this data, so it's all open book, open office, it's all public. Anybody that wants a copy of the calculations I have, you're welcome to have them. It's a lot of detail, anybody, and that's the way we run the place. So it's all open and transparent.
Thank
If you
you.
want copies of anything, it's all available.
Okay, and in marching through Pro Resources bid and still looking at the city as a vendor, and we have some item 11, some things we should probably take care of if we need to change and do some things with the state. So, John, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, so
for-
on the North Dakota PERS, so I had a lengthy conversation with Mary Jo Anderson at North Dakota PERS. She runs the organization there. All of our employees right now are, any payments that go into the retirement accounts, basically is all that's there, is done through the city of Fargo. So the city of Fargo sends you a check, they split it out, and it goes into each employee's account with North Dakota PERS. I kind of surprised her a little bit in that being a separate political subdivision, probably shouldn't be that way anyway from the day one. So she's reviewing that with their council to find out if, regardless if the city still sends the check, we shouldn't have our own separate North Dakota PERS account because we're a political subdivision. So that's something that Mary Jo is looking at, and I assume through her staff that they will. But one of the things that they would require, and I think you're aware that we are eligible, there's some dates that they have for enrollment. Well, we're already enrolled, but there are some new programs that North Dakota PERS offers that our employees could take advantage of, such as a 457 retirement account. I'm not aware that any of the fire department, our current employees, are through North Dakota PERS with a 457 plan. Most of us have the ICMA retirement account, or there's some other ones that the city had offered in the benefit package. We also would get access to a life insurance plan. There are life insurance plan options right now through the city. A public safety board resolution for North Dakota PERS Public Safety Defined Benefit Retirement Plan. And I gave this to Chief Bush, and I don't know if the employees were aware of it at the fire department, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 employees that are eligible for this North Dakota PERS Public Safety Defined Benefit Retirement Plan. And Dave, I don't know if you got any more information from them. Is this to their benefit or not to their benefit? I have no
I
idea.
haven't. I looked through, I compared both plans, and they're fairly similar.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would imagine the public safety plan might come with some other benefits that I haven't read through yet, but
And they're willing to come out and chat with the employees or do a conference call with you, but the fire department employees are eligible for this regardless of what we do. If we change vendors or we stay with the city, they still have that option to switch internally, and that's a financial,
About half the guys are.
yeah, that's 5 of the 10 are eligible for it. And this is something that just became available just in must be the last legislative session. I'm not sure when it became available, but I certainly wasn't aware of it until Mary Jo had, but we made the chief aware of it, and we can convey with the employees, and they can engage the state however they want to find out if they want to change what they're doing.
So is that something that would have been offered by the city, but it's not yet?
I think it can be offered by them, but I don't believe that they've communicated that it's available. The
Okay.
first I heard of it was when she contacted me August 29th. I had no idea
Okay.
that this, and she went through all the names of our firefighters, and she identified 5 employees that were eligible for this
Good.
new plan where they hadn't been before, but they are now.
That's great.
So, like I say, that's their decision. They can do that today if they want. They don't have to
Okay.
wait for the airport authority to do that.
Okay.
So I think in the information that you have, there are 4 resolutions that would need to be passed in the manner that you have before you in order for us to set the stage that if we want to set up our separate account with them. Nothing changes with the employees that are in North Dakota PERS right now. Everything stays the same. It's just that they're in an airport authority account versus the city account. And then they would have the option, if we decide to engage in this, to enroll. If we want benefits to start on January 1st, they have to have the contract by October 13th. All documents must be completed and returned to PERS by November 15th. If it's February 1st, March 1st. So the state has dates when things have to be received in order to be effective on the 1st of a certain month during the year. So I guess if somebody wants to make a motion, and we won't do anything with these unless we decide to change vendors, but they would be ready in case that we would need to. There's the 4 motions that would need to be made by someone and then seconded, and then we can put in the language for each of the motions there. So the first one would be for the North Dakota PERS Defined Benefit Retirement Plan.
So
which
they 4 separate motions?
Yes.
Yes. And this just covers
Just-
the
yeah,
timing
that's
mostly.
right.
We still don't,
We still-
it doesn't, just because we vote on the resolution doesn't mean we're gonna do it. But
Correct.
without doing it, the timing would be
Too tight.
off for the
Yeah.
state.
Right.
So, I don't know if,
Mr. Chairman, I'd move first resolution, MD PERS Defined Benefit Main Retirement Plan, that we proceed with the creation of the resolution. And I think I can go through all 4 and then be specific that the final for the benefit of the firemen or any employees, if such a benefit is available and benefits an employee here, whether city involvement or not, that we immediately enact that for their benefit.
Right.
so let's vote
Second.
on all 4 of those resolutions individually.
Okay.
And so we'll start with the defined benefit plan. So you made the motion, the second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries. Go to the next, is the deferred compensation plan.
No, Public Safety. Public Safety Board resolution, the second. Oh,
Okay,
never
they're
mind.
listed differently.
Okay,
Differently,
go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead,
Okay.
that's fine. Do your thing.
So deferred compensation plan, entertain the same motion.
I'll approve a motion for the deferred compensation plan.
Second.
Motion made in a second, and all in favor, any further discussion?
No discussion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then the ND PERS life insurance plan.
Again, I'll make a motion to approve the ND PERS life insurance plan.
Second.
Okay, and motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And the last one is ND PERS public safety defined benefit retirement plan.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 And
I do have a comment. If that is available and was available over the past 6 to 12 months and wasn't made available for those members, I'm concerned about that. If it was available by the city and the city didn't afford it to them.
I don't recall getting any communication. I don't know if Troy or Henry, any if you've seen it. And they may already be eligible for all of these through the city, the life insurance, the 457. Whether it's been communicated or not, or maybe you sign up for emails from North Dakota PERS. I'm not in North Dakota PERS, so I don't know. I believe that once you get an account there, you can go in and check your retirement account. You can set up for notices, and maybe that's how they notify you versus a memo coming out from Human Resources or something. I don't know, but that's a
Well,
good point
Mr.
to
Trent,
find out.
it is in our best interest and those employees that we make sure they're educated immediately.
Right.
Yes, and, you know, with public safety employees, one of the major things I think is retirement age can be lowered for police officers, firefighters, because of the nature of the job. All right, very good. Moving on, number 12, SRE building update.
I'm gonna just speak to the FAA part. We're kind of moving ahead. We're meeting with Henry and Troy. We had a meeting last week and another meeting this week. So we're making good progress. Kind of depending on what the FAA lets us do, we should be ready to bid it in December sometime. Working on kind of nailed down a lot of things right now. Now we're kind of digging into some of the detail with regards to really more the addition to the service area because of the complicated nature of all the stuff that Troy's got in there and the things that we need to do for that new service bay we're looking at. We verified one of the things that's a big issue today in Fargo is when you add on to a building, you could conceivably be, depending on where you're at, you could be 2 feet above your existing building where you'd have to build your addition because of what FEMA and Fargo have done. And there's no leeway on that. So it's been a big issue in a lot of additions that we do, especially when it comes to anything that is doing with, you know, this kind of stuff where you're rolling big pieces of equipment back and forth. And we've made the determination that we're good, and so we don't have to. We could conceivably had to have the addition to the SRE building up, and we're just doing a project right now for an office that the building, existing building, it's never flooded, but with the new rules and the city of Fargo actually, you know, FEMA has given us an elevation, and then Fargo added some inches to that, which, you know, is probably a good move. And so I got a project right now that we're 10.5 inches, our addition is 10.5 inches higher than our existing building, and it's not a very big addition, but there's just no way to get around it. But we're fortunate enough that we're higher at the cities or the airport, so we're good. So I'll let John talk to the FAA.
I'll sneak out here. One of the things that we need to do to make the building eligible for FAA funding through the AIP program, which is the Airport Improvement Program, is go through an eligibility exercise to determine basically what's eligible for funding, federal funding, and what isn't. And that is based off of the size and number of pieces of equipment that you currently have on hand, as well as pieces of equipment that you could purchase, you just don't have it. You know, for example, I think you're eligible for 3 extra plows, you just don't have them in inventory, but the sizing of the building and the eligibility of the building is based on that full potential. So right now, Mead and Hunt is going through that exercise, going through the rules of the AIP program. There's certain things that aren't eligible as far as break rooms and offices, that kind of thing, but we feel that it's around 90% eligible. Of course, we're trying to get that eligibility as high as possible. Obviously, that's going to be subject to the FAA's approval, but that's magnitude-wise, that's kind of where we think we're sitting. So,
How about the environmental stuff? Don't want to say anything about that.
okay, so our
You can use that one over there too if it's bigger.
Yeah, that one might be better. So the SRE building sits right here, or new SRE building sits right here. And part of another rule, the programs, you gotta go through environmental clearance. The FAA office in Bismarck has said that we have to do an archaeological survey. So we're in the process of getting that done. We have to do a wetland delineation, that has been done. And then what they also want us to look at, and I'm still trying to figure out what documentation they'll accept, is because of the close proximity to the fuel farm, and there's some area of dead grass, the FAA is concerned that there's been spills of some kind over there. So I've been working with Jeremy at Jet Center to see if he has any documentation of any reported spills, that kind of thing, and there aren't any. But the FAA may want us to do what's called a phase 1 search and go through a record search, basically to prove that Jet Center has not had any fuel spills. So.
We believe it's de-icing fluid runoff,
Correct.
but we don't know. There's a glycol tank in that fuel farm area. I think it's just runoff from that. Or possibly when they spray the weeds in the fuel farm area, the rock, you have to keep all the vegetation out. Maybe some of that herbicide ran off through this low spot. And that's probably, it's either glycol and or the herbicide that is put on within the fuel farm to maintain it.
Yeah,
And that
small
became a big,
area.
It is, and my hope is that the FAA will accept any documentation that Jet Center has, instead of us having to go through the exercise and paying for, a record search at, I presume it's a Department of Health. I just want to get it done as cheaply and efficiently as possible.
So if the record search isn't good enough, do you have to do soil samples and testing?
That is a possibility, so I don't want to get to that point.
No, what I'm wondering is, with winter coming on and the bid, will this delay anything for bidding and or determination?
It shouldn't delay anything for bidding, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
It would be a
Search,
pretty
control
inexpensive
F.
soil test.
No search is found. Here we go.
Okay. Anything else, Gary?
No.
All right, airport construction security update.
Thanks, Jeff.
well, let's see. Security-wise, there is a little bit of an update. Mr. Negron, do you want to address the board? Come forward so you can be on camera. We're going to get this recorded.
So we're getting a significant upgrade on our EDS machines for baggage screening. Kind of nice that project is starting today on the first one. They'll upgrade the second one next week. That gives us some additional capability in terms of objects that can be screened using that technology. So we always like when we can use a more capable technology for screening, whatever might be checkpoint. Comparable would be the AIT machine. That's the highest level of passenger screening technology. EDSs are the highest manner of baggage screening technology. So we're upgrading both those systems. So that'll be a nice added expansion of capability for security here at Hector Airport. We have one more to upgrade in the state, so just Grand Forks left. I was just at Williston. We received a unit there. Same unit that Fargo is receiving. We deployed that already in Minot Airport. Bismarck has a different EDS technology, but nice addition there. Also upcoming sometime this year, we think, it's been a while since we've mentioned it. Not uncommon for there to be maybe some waiting period, but we're expecting to still receive some sort of updated credentialing authentication technology. The agency is looking at some other alternatives. At some point, we're expecting to receive something that will enhance our ability at the ticket document checker. So that's still coming at some point. And then we've heard this is longer term, sometime next summer, we believe, maybe around July, we should be receiving the CT X-ray technology for the checkpoint. That's a massive upgrade in technology, a pretty amazing piece of equipment. for checkpoint screening. But Hector will be the only airport in the state at this time anyway that will receive that deployment of technology. So we're looking forward to that. And as we hear more, we'll certainly relay more, but nothing further. Any questions from
Great, thanks. Other items?
I don't think there's any construction stuff, so Jeff's still working on closeouts for our grants from this past summer.
I've got a question for Jeff on, you're actually having a meeting this Thursday on where we're gonna go with the terminal expansion. But can you just tell us what your concept is for how we're gonna redo the north ramp and still function?
All right. So what General Haugen is talking about is the terminal ramp out here. The pavement it's in tough shape. The pavement reports that came back from North Dakota Aeronautics had like a score of around I can't remember exactly what it is offhand, but it's probably a 50 out of 100. So, and obviously it's the most highly used piece of pavement or one of the most highly used pieces of pavement on the airfield. So the plan to reconstruct that is kind of multifaceted. So one of the things that Mead & Hunt is working with the Airport Authority on starting Thursday of this week is we're going to have an initial meeting to kick off a terminal planning study. And what that would be is a plan to expand the terminal ramp. And the reason for that is obviously one, to handle, improvements here at the terminal, the additional capacity for extra gates, that kind of thing, because of all these increased employments. And what that would do is expand the gates, to some point out here to the east. Once that is done, then the plan would be to reconstruct the apron in a series of phases. And the challenge of all this is it's multi-phased, multi-year, and it costs a lot of money. The terminal apron itself is probably a $10-ish million project, and that doesn't even include the building. So I don't know what terminal expansion of that size would cost, Terry, but I'm sure it's $5-10 million.
It's gonna be, I'd say somewhere in the middle of that, maybe.
Right. Because you have the building, you have boarding bridges, you have replacement of the old boarding bridges that need to be accomplished. So it really starts adding up. So that's going to be the one of the challenges over the next few years. So.
Have you looked at now with United's going to start their own ground service here? There going to be additional equipment over there, and I look at that ramp on the east side. Currently, it's pretty full and going to get fuller.
Correct.
So what are you going to do with that stuff while we're moving east? I mean,
Put it west.
we're going to have to do something to the west first to get. I'm just.
We haven't gotten that far to look at it,
Yeah.
but we certainly would have to. So. And maybe part of the initial terminal expansion is, before we even get into the reconstruction of the pavement, is an expansion of the existing apron just to handle any extra equipment. So it's a challenging project from the funding standpoint, not only because it costs a lot, and terminals and aprons are low priority in the FAA AIP program, so they don't rank very high when you're trying to get discretionary funding. So a lot of times you just have to save up entitlement or pay through other means instead of getting discretionary money. So.
Well, we certainly have a lot of construction facing us in the next few years.
Absolutely. So.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any state funding available?
Yeah, it would. That Prairie Dog Fund starts to fill this year that the legislature approved in the
Okay.
last session.
Okay.
We certainly would try to get Prairie Dog funding and just our normal state grant money that we get each year. So
Okay.
I believe that was available starting 2021.
Is it? Okay.
I'm presuming there's gonna be just,
A lot of,
more demand than funds.
It's only 20-some million dollars, so,
okay. Well, something,
yeah.
okay.
yeah.
The last item is future meeting dates, October.
Okay, I'm traveling to the National Airports Conference for our next meeting date, so you'd have the option to just meet at our regular meeting date, or if there's emergency with other things pending here, to maybe meet on October, the week before, like the third week, October 15th could be an option. Our regular date would be the 22nd, but I'm at the National Airports Conference in San Antonio on our regular meeting date, the 8th.
The 8th.
So if it's the 15th, if there's different decisions to be made on vendors or what we're going to do here. We do have a new agreement that just came out from the mayor on the 19th that we all got, and still digesting that. I made a lot of notes on there. So what's your desire if you're available the third week, and then we'd have one meeting, or the
15th
month,
is good for
or
me.
we could always meet the 22nd if we had to, or we could go with October 15th.
I can't make
You can't, okay.
I'll be at the
22nd.
Just leave it on the 22nd? Okay.
Will you be here?
No, I'll be at the airport lawyers conference
And which one?
on the 15th.
Okay.
So leave it on the 22nd,
Yeah.
Okay.
And none on the 8th.
and I'm on the 8th,
Okay.
okay. Not sure I got that right. Okay. So we'll just have one meeting then in October.
Who's involved in the meeting on Thursday? Do you have a
Anybody
separate committee?
can come,
or-
we'd have to, no, just at this point, it's Mead and Hunt staff, myself, Darren, I don't know if Terry's gonna be there or not, but,
It's at 10:30 here and anyone's welcome.
yeah, anybody's welcome. What we'd have to do, if there's a potential for a quorum to be available,
Mhm.
we'd have to send out a public notice.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in coming, you're more than welcome to come. We would just have to send out a public notice probably today to inform if you're interested. So we'd start at 10:30, and I think it's a couple hours or hour and a half, not sure. So, Eric, you won't be available, or if there's a couple, it's not really a problem, but we may send out a notice anyway.
No.
You don't have to get notice.
Yeah,
I'll be out of
I
town.
may be here.
Okay.
This Thursday.
All right, so
Thursday.
if there's a couple, that's fine. I know Virginia's out of town, so,
Yeah, I'm out of town on Thursday.
all right. Rick, if you're interested or not?
What-
You won't be able, okay,
What time was it again?
10:30 on Thursday.
I bet. Yeah, can't make it. And I think that includes agenda items. I just wanted to welcome a former board member here, Steve Blazek with First International, and here in response, looking to give us advice on our banking requests.
Good.
Yeah, so that ad ran yesterday, so it ran 2 weeks in the legal section of the form for banking and depository services for the
Mhm.
airport, and I've had a couple of inquiries, that's all so
Okay.
far. So maybe other banks have got it and they don't have any questions. The entire package is on our website, correct, Darren? I think the whole thing is out there, the RFP? Yeah.
When's it due?
October 9th, we'll open them here
Okay.
at 2 or 2:30. I'll have to have Darren do that or somebody, that'll be at
Okay.
trustee meetings at NDSU, but, so we got that going on. An update on RSVP and the Information Center, so they will take over, once again, resume their management, I guess, or oversight of the Airport Information Center. They're working with current staff that are down there. There's 2 or 3 that are still going to stay on. And then solicit for other volunteers that are in their program to come out and staff the information center. So it's a work in progress, but they have agreed to take that on again. So it was good news for us. Little update on the driver incident on Sunday morning. So our staff out doing their perimeter check. Let's see here. On early Sunday morning, noticed some vehicle tracks going across, and basically, evidently the Far Police Department had a high-speed chase about 3:45 or something, 4 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Stopped pursuing the person someplace around Broadway, 10th Avenue North, but nonetheless, evidently that person did make it up here to 32nd Avenue North, and continued down the road, went around the barricades here, went through the fence, and just went right straight across the airfield, came out about 50, 60 feet north of the terminal building, started losing all the radiator fluid, drove down the road around the fuel farm, and then we lost the track here. They found him at some hotel. I don't know if it was in Fargo, West Fargo. But so initially, Henry got the call. I got called. We came out and with fire department, I think Air Guard security and others trying to look for a vehicle, and that's when they noticed the tracks where they entered and exited. Not a lot of damage to the fence. Dakota Fence is going to be out today re-securing. In fact, you wouldn't have even noticed there was any damage. That's one post over here was hit. And then the rest of it's just some of the clips came off, but you really can't notice the damage. There's some video and so forth of it, but I guess we'll kind of go from there. They did track it down. They didn't know initially, but the first officer that responded was involved in the chase a few hours before, and we found parts of the vehicle that were out there that matched. It was Toyota parts chasing the Toyota. There was. So anyway, they caught the person, and we'll go through whatever invoices that we have to get it back. Final thing, and I handed that out this morning. Darren got an email on our general account from Scott Osman, upset that we posted our land, something that we probably should have done years ago. Obviously, some of our property north of the airport is in the city limits, so there's no hunting allowed. But it's basically all of our property. We posted that's basically up here around the Stockman Addition. This is North River, and there's Riviera Heights or Highland Park. So all of our property that's all the way up here, all the way over to the lagoons and so forth, we put out posting. And there was some concern expressed by some residents in this area here and here, as he kind of indicates in the email. People have probably hunted out there for years. As he says, 30 years. I had a long conversation yesterday with Mark Marzahari, who was hunted out here in the lagoons, duck hunted, goose hunted, and everything for years. But they understand that the reason we posted it is for liability, period. It's for liability reasons. I mean, we'd encourage people to go out there and harvest the geese and do those things because that's to our favor, but you still hear the stories at airports and other locations of liability, and someone shooting a deer, if it's an arrow, rifle, or a gun, and something goes astray on our property, we post it for liability reasons. And if you don't concur with that, we'll take the pails away, but there's been some stories at airports someplace in Michigan where they had a guy that was out bow hunting, put a stand up in a tree, the tree broke and broke his back. Who's liable? Yeah, so.
You know, I think that's something that people should be aware of.
Well, he certainly isn't. He's upset, and he's probably hunted there for years.
Oh, yeah.
I did go up and look at it. Of course, it's all corn and beans. You really can't see
Yeah.
anything. And there are deer. I mean, there's a shelter belt up here on the Harris property that we purchased. I mean, there are deer. There's no doubt. There's deer that do hang around it here in the ditch and so forth, but it just comes down to liability.
The liability.
And for that reason, we posted it. And there's people that dump. Mark told me about all the junk that's over here in the corner that he's been picking up. Syringes, there's a tiller in the bottom of the ditch, toilets, furniture, from couches to chairs to tables that just get littered along this area, including on our property. People will drive in here. I don't know, Henry, if you've seen anything lately, but
Not lately.
people will dump stuff and just. So we posted it. No hunting, no trespassing. If you concur with that, we'll keep them up. If you don't, we'll take the bales down. But anyway, and I'll follow up with this guy. I think Jordan chatted with him last week when I was out for a day, and unfortunately, that's where it is. So that's all I've got.
Well, let me continue on with that. I have a farm, and I post it, but I post it for liability. But I also let people hunt. So, you know, if is there any way we can do a letter disclaimer and allow them to hunt with a proof of insurance or waiver of hold harmless agreement?
Generally speaking, I think waivers are as good as the piece of paper they're on.
Okay. Well, I know that state regulations don't allow shooting next to occupied buildings within 440 yards. So I'm not worried about someone shooting, but the bow hunting is, you know, that's 40 yards. max with a arrow.
Mhm.
That's pretty insignificant. When they allow bow hunting in town, in parks, you know, which they do in the city. Yeah, I mean, it's a special permit.
Mhm.
But, and, yeah, I'd love to have people shoot the geese
Mhm.
that are flying across the airport. So.
Tricky with a bow.
Well, not with a bow.
Tricky with a bow.
Well, you can. You can. Foo-foo feathers on the back. But,
Maybe we just get Henry and Troy to go up there and shoot.
yeah.
We already do.
I don't think Henry's shoulder will handle it, will it? But, I'd like to just not blanket eliminate all hunting out there. That's me. So,
The liability's the same either way,
yeah.
unfortunately. Well, that's all I've got.
Okay, anything else? Good to the order? Meeting's adjourned.